What's going on, YouTube and horror movie buffs? Welcome to I Shot Him 6 Times YouTube horror movie channel. I am your host, Marcus, and in today's video, I am going to discuss how former Sheriff Dewey Riley did not know that Billy Loomis had fathered a child after the events of Scream 1996. But before I do that, let's hit that intro. I shot him 6 times. Okay guys, like I stated at the beginning of the video, I'm going to discuss how Sheriff Dewey Riley did not know that Billy Loomis had fathered a kid. It's a really valid question in all honesty, considering that we never really got clear validation as to how Dewey did not know that Billy had a child. It's worth talking about this for the simple fact is, if the killers and Richie and Amber knew about Sam being Billy's daughter, basically because Sam and Tara's mother being an alcoholic and obviously talking about it all around town, how would Dewey, from living in Woodsboro for so long, number one, even before becoming the sheriff, and then on top of becoming the sheriff eventually, how did he not know about Sam? I do not understand how these two killers were able to get information about this, and I'm assuming that they found out because maybe Amber's parents was at the bar when, Tara and Sam's mother was at the bar when she was spewing about it, maybe talking about it to everybody at the bar, etc. Now, this is another thing. And they left a scene out where Dewey's original introduction into this movie was supposed to be the bar scene with Vince and Chad, and apparently Dewey intervenes with that confrontation and Vince proceeds to beat Dewey up. Well, we know that obviously Dewey had become an alcoholic since him and Gail split up, etc. So that even would validate even more. If Dewey was hitting the bar scene, he would have had to have heard about Sam being Billy's daughter. If the mother was there at that time talking about it, or somebody else having a conversation about it. I just don't understand how Dewey, from being a resident in Woodsboro for so long, and on top of that becoming the sheriff, how if most of the entire town of Woodsboro knows who Sam really is, and I'm going to assume that's the case, because if Richie and Amber knew, how doesn't anybody else know? So it just is really, really puzzling to me how Dewey did not know this information. Another thing that's puzzling to me is how Sam found Dewey so easily with no problem. Sam knows about Dewey. How doesn't Dewey know about Sam? Obviously, Dewey's the sheriff, and obviously with all the original Woodsboro murders, Dewey's well known, but it just makes no sense whatsoever how Sam knows about Dewey, but Dewey doesn't know anything about Sam. And this was even further validated when Sam shows up to the house and says, "I'm Billy Loomis's daughter," and Dewey responds, after saying, "Why would I want to help you?" And he says, "That basically gives me even further reason to not want to help you." Dewey had no idea that Sam, at least he acted as if he had no idea whatsoever that Sam was Billy Loomis's daughter. And it's very, very important. It's an important thing to talk about, because I just don't understand this. How you are the sheriff and a longtime resident, given that you are one of the original OG3s that went through, this entire ordeal the first time, how you do not know that the original mastermind, well, really Roman was the original mastermind, but Billy, out of the original 2 killers in 96, was the main killer. How do you not know that he fathered a child to one of the locals? If everybody else in Woodsboro knows who Sam is, how didn't Dewey know? Was Dewey keeping it a secret? Was he playing it off like he did not know? Another thing to touch on is, how did Cindy know? I'm going to make another video as well, as how did Cindy know that Sam was Billy's daughter? Because keep in mind, when Sam interacts first with Gail Weathers, Gail doesn't even know who Sam is. Has no clue. If you watch that dialogue, there is no thoughts of whatsoever in Gail's mind that is Billy Loomis's daughter. And obviously Dewey didn't tell her, because I'm going to assume if Dewey told her, she would have knew who Sam was off the gate. So I just find it really, really odd how Dewey did not know that she was Billy Loomis's daughter. I found it very, very odd. You are the sheriff and a longtime resident of this town. If all the other townies know, how don't you know? I just don't get it, you guys. You know what I mean? But that's it for this one, guys. Leave your comments in the comment section. Tell me what you guys think. Do you guys think that Dewey was keeping it a secret all along? Or do you think that he really had no clue that Sam was Billy's daughter? And do you agree with me how this is puzzling, how as the sheriff of Woodsboro and a longtime resident, he had no idea that Sam was Billy's daughter? But once again, guys, hit that comment section. I want to hear from you. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel as well. Your support is greatly appreciated, as well as hit that notification icon so you get all the latest content updates from the channel. I am Marcus. This is I Shot Him 6 Times. As well as follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I have a Facebook group, so you can look me up on there. And as well here on YouTube. I'm out to the next one, guys. Have a blessed day.